Hey y'all, this is Kelly Janae with Ethereal Ecology Healing Arts. If you don't know me, I'm a holistic healing practitioner. I help folks who struggle with chronic depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, pretty much emotional and mental health challenges that keep you from being fully yourself in the world and feeling proud and confident about who you are. So in this video, we're going to talk about overcoming anxiety by learning how to follow your own unique pace. How many of us, me included, move faster or harder than our bodies or our minds or our hearts are really ready to? This can relate to any aspect of your life. If you have a yoga practice, you'll probably see it in your yoga practice, where you might be actually going faster or stretching more than you need to, ending up with injuries or really not getting what you wanted out of your practice, being very in your head. Or you might do this in your career or in work, where you are constantly trying to get ahead of yourself and you feel overwhelmed and can't seem to think straight. You may see this in your relationships, where you skip over boundaries that you had in order to appease the person or whatever. So we're going to talk about some specific ways that this comes up. But first of all, let's define this problem more specifically. So there might be a million reasons why you have anxiety. Anxiety is a somatic experience. It happens in the body. And a lot of people only really recognize their anxiety because they know that they're in their head a lot. But if you were to drop out of your head and go into your body, you would notice that there might be a tightness happening in your abdomen or your solar plexus. You might notice that you're not breathing very deeply. In general, you might notice that you actually feel physically scared or worried or concerned about something. And all of this is a very clear sign that you're feeling anxious, right? And when we feel anxious, our nervous system is activated and we often are a little more frantic, right? We're not as grounded. We tend to make mistakes more easily. We can often have negative thoughts about ourselves. So anxiety is kind of like a domino effect of chaos that happens in our life. So we need to identify the reasons why we have anxiety so that we can start the process of getting back to a neutral state where we can think clearly, tend to our emotions, and be with ourselves in a kind of more calm baseline. One of the reasons that you may have chronic anxiety is because you may chronically go faster or harder than you actually are ready to in different areas of your life. So we'll refer to this as your pace. For the most part, in our society, going fast and accomplishing the things and being the best and doing the most is seen as this echelon of accomplishment and achievement. If you are the youngest millionaire, if you're the fastest driver, you're the best. And the best are the people who get awarded. They're the people who make the most money. There are very real rewards that our society gives people for being the quote unquote best. If you're anything like me, you probably learned that pretty early on in your life, that if you can be really good at something, if you can be faster than other people, if you can be better than other people, it's really about competing at this point against other people, then you will get ahead in life. And getting ahead in life means safety. We might modulate our pace subconsciously from a young age to be faster and to go harder, or maybe even deeper than we really are ready for. And what happens as we get older is this starts to become a problem. It might have been great early on in life where you are a high achieving person and you can accomplish things, but now maybe you're getting injured physically more often, or you are feeling chronically anxious and unwell in your mind and body. Maybe your relationships are not feeling safe. There's a lot of ways that we cross our own boundaries in order to meet societal standards of how fast we should be going. So this is kind of step one in this whole process, is to acknowledge the foundation of where this fast-paced, expectation came from. And it ultimately comes from societal standards of the domination culture, right? Which is where America is based on. How do you know what your pace is? Because if we're used to going really fast and doing the best and being stressed the freak out all the time, if we're used to that, we might think that that's our baseline. But if you're going too fast, too hard, too much, if you are having some sort of mental health or physical health issue as a result of that. And you may not know it's the result of that, but let's just put our little thinking caps on and our feeling caps on and really reflect on your health in this moment and see if there's any anxiety in your own body going on, right? Or think about any injuries that you've sustained or sicknesses that you've sustained because you've worked harder than you really are meant to. Those are good signs that you've crossed over into going too hard for your own pace. So how do you learn your own pace? Well, this is a process, because it is the process of learning to listen to your body. Your body is this incredible self-healing mechanism that we are incarnated into, that is animated, that helps us move through life. What happens when we overstep our body's limitations is that we start to get out of balance. Depression and anxiety, and maybe if you're on the other side, like the extreme end, like suicidal ideation, or even like mental health problems that are being diagnosed and medicated, that just means that you're out of balance and you're pushing too hard, most likely, in those areas where you have limitations and are not being listened to. So one of the first things that I teach my clients who are looking for natural ways to heal depression and anxiety is to first of all know that your body is a self-healing mechanism. If you're chronically depressed, chronically anxious, all of this stuff, you are out of balance, and all we need to do is listen to the signal that the depression or the anxiety or whatever's telling you and allow that signal to teach you what you need to balance yourself out. So in this regard, depression, anxiety, they're not illnesses, they're not problems to be solved. They're sacred signals with incredible wisdom that once we start listening to them and becoming more attuned to when we cross into that hyperactive nervous system state, then we can become more aware of how to pull ourselves back in and down into our bodies and take care of ourselves so we can return to a calm baseline, okay? So this is where we get to explore our actual natural pace. I personally have been humbled in my 20s, my late 20s into my early 30s, in regards to my pace. I am a high achieving person, valedictorian of my class as an engineering student, full scholarship, the good jobs. And of course, as I get the good job, I want the better job. I want the public speaking job. I want my own business. I want it all, right? And that's great. But also a lot of it comes from trauma. So this is another thing that we need to understand, is that the need to perform and the need to overcompensate for our insecurities because we were never really seen as the beautiful, precious gift that we are. We were really only being compared to societal standards, unfortunately, in a lot of spaces. We have insecurities and we have deeply unmet needs in regards to being unconditionally loved and accepted. As such, we have a subconscious defense mechanism that causes us to go faster and harder and higher than we really need to. Just imagine if you were already loved, accepted, everything just for who you were. You would never have to overstep your own pace. You would never have to cross over your boundaries, because you would know that you are worthy and you are just enough exactly as you are. However, because our society and our parents we weren't operating this way when we were being brought into this world. The people around us were not operating this way, and we are only now learning how and having the freedom to operate in a more balanced, self-loving, feminine, listening kind of way, okay? A lot of the reason why we don't go at a real natural pace is because of this trauma and of neglect or abuse in some regard about us not being enough, good enough, growing up really fast, etc. So again, how do you know your own pace? I don't know your pace. You know your pace. And you might be looking at me like, no, I don't, Kelly. If I don't know my pace, and I know, trust me. It is not easy work uncovering your truth in your own body when you were never given the tools that you needed to listen to your body. This is why this type of task of really being a natural human, and when I say a natural human going at your pace, just think about nature. Flowers don't bloom before they're ready. Butterflies don't come out of their cocoon until they're fully blobbed up and formed, whatever that is. The seasons happen when they happen. We don't force that. We can't force that. We are nature. We are nature. Humans are part of nature. We are nature. The natural path is to get you connected again to the natural flow of how your body really wants to move and wants to grow. And I can pretty much 100% promise you that it's slower than what you're used to. Starting to get used to slowing down. We can all slow down. We can do it. I promise. It's okay. I know the reason we're going fast is because we feel like we're gonna die, and there's this really deep fear, and it keeps coming up, and I gotta go, and I gotta do. It is a trauma response, friend. Slow down. First of all, we all can slow down. I promise you, none of us are going slower than we need to. Okay. So first step, slow down. Second step, pay attention to what your body is feeling. I know for me that my heart feels kind of hard and closed off. My solar plexus feels a little pulled in, but I'm also being really conscious and trying to pull myself down into my root chakra so I can tell that I'm more grounded and paying more attention to myself in the moment versus doing what is expected of me. So I'm noticing these things. So notice in your body what's going on. And don't judge it. Stop. Everybody's judging enough. You don't need to be hurting yourself anymore, okay? None of that. The path to true health, true mental health and emotional health and well-being and self-love, it's listening. It's learning to listen. If all you get from this video is that your body is a self-healing mechanism that knows what's good for you and not at all times, that you can trust your body, that's all I really want you to get from this. If you're having a lot of anxiety, if you feel a lot of pressure to make a decision and you're not ready to, whether that's in regards to intimacy or to work or anything else in your life, check in with yourself and notice, is this going too fast for me? Or is there more that I need to explore in order to be ready to say yes to this next step? Or to be ready to show up in this next step feeling actually safe and authentic? Because what happens when we don't take that time is that when we do show up to things, we don't feel good doing it. It's like we re-traumatize ourselves, or maybe that's too harsh a word, but we recreate the patterns of discontent and feeling unsafe and feeling inauthentic. So just imagine that the next time you have something going on in your life where you want to accomplish a goal, and goals are great. Don't worry. Just because you're not forcing your way through life or running your way, sprinting through life doesn't mean you're never going to reach your goals. I understand that's important to you. But also let's reflect, why is that so important to you? Is it genuinely what your soul wants, or is it what your ego needs in order to feel okay? Whoa, dude. Yeah. That's healing for you. Everything is in question, my friends. And it's okay. So even in your healing process, just be gentle with your beautiful self. Because you are going to want to move faster, so much faster. But the beauty is, the slower you go, the deeper you can go. It's like you get to sink deeper, deeper, deeper into yourself. You get to ask yourself, what do I need right now in order to feel comfortable moving forward? And you may be like, oh my God, I don't know what I need. But that's okay, because how do you know what you need if you never sit with it? When we slow down and we are in our bodies listening, the desperation of having to move forward, it just goes away. And you know what you might discover? You might discover sadness. You likely will. You might discover grief or rage or confusion. And that's so important. And that's another really big piece of what I do with clients, is to help you wade through those suppressed emotions you've been holding on to your whole life, which you unconsciously avoid by trying to move past them too fast. But slowing down and going at your real authentic pace, which just means paying attention to your body and knowing when you've crossed a boundary, and then trying to correct that by going deeper into yourself and saying, what do I need? This is where you get to actually start to heal all of the wounds of your childhood and of your past. Because it's all right here still. And in many ways, it's probably pushing you and motivating you to avoid it by achieving, or, just skipping over it by going too fast. So, blessed humans, beautiful beings, you, my beautiful friend, there is nothing more that you need to do than what you are capable of doing in this very moment. In fact, if you did less, you would likely be happier. You would find out what's really important to you, and you could then discover what it is that you really want to focus your energy on. And I realize that slowing down and stopping, it's the most anxiety producing thing, maybe, because now you got to face all the stuff that's inside of you. But anxiety is really a buildup of energy in your body. And what that energy usually is suppressed emotions. So let's slow down and learn to listen to those signals that say I'm crossing a boundary, I'm going too fast, and listen to what those emotions are. I'll stop there because this could go on forever and I'm really just repeating myself, but I cannot stress enough all of the teachings of our beautiful body and how intelligent our emotions are. So with that, beautiful beings, if this has brought up some deep stuff for you, if you feel like you could use some support and help getting to a place where you can be with yourself in a slower way, and trust me, it's hard and it takes time, then I encourage you to go into the description and click the link for a free consultation with me, and we can dive into what's going on for you and go into how having holistic support and healing sessions and meditation practice and all the things that we can do together can really help you to find a natural path to feeling really amazing in your body, feeling safe in your body, loving yourself for who you are, and then that allows you to be free to be yourself in the world. So with that, I love you all so very much. Blessings on your healing journeys. Bye.